Hello everyone and welcome back. In this one, which is number 4 video, I'm going to be talking about how much the agents and people that join, let's say, multi-level marketing, those groups that I talked about, WFG, PHP, or Prime America as a prime example. And this is just not about those three, and I'm just picking up on these three because they're in the insurance industry and one of the biggest ones. There is MLM marketing all around, across the board for any products, even worse products. Let's say, for example, if you're selling $10 vitamins or $30 vitamins, it's even worse because the money is less at that point on commissions or on pay. Now, let's talk about, is there money to be made, right? That's one of the most important things. What do you join a group? Why do you join? It's not a church. It's not a cult, right? So you join for free and you pay money to be part of it. It should be something that it's a career, right? If it's a career, when do you want to start making money? Do you want to start making money now? What do you want to do? And as, all those things. So we're going to discuss the money aspect of it, and we're going to dive into it as far as what they're making, and I'm going to show you examples of that on whatever we have on the internet as far as disclosures go. Before we do, make sure you guys are following us, subscribe to our channel, comment, and if you want to add something to it, or if we miss something, let us know. We'll correct it, we'll fix it, and we'll discuss it. So, and with that said, let's get into it. Now, you joined. What's the second thing that you do after you get licensed? Is money, right? So if you're not making any money, why are you in that business? If you open a business, if it's not making money, if it's not profitable, why do you continue being in that business? Because you're losing money. This is the question that we used to give to people because people used to join the organization, especially in WFG. I used to know people for 3 years, 4 years, 2 years, and these people were not even making a single dime. And they used to show up every Thursday. Every Thursday's meeting, they used to sit up and they used to look in our face. They used to be like pumped up, and I'm like, I'm going to go and sell something tomorrow. I'm going to go do something tomorrow. But the thing is, they had no tools. They had no idea what the products were. People, if you asked them a question, they had no clue because they were not educated in the products. Mostly they were educated in the recruiting. They're masters in recruiting. So, and recruiting doesn't net them money. It nets money for the MLMs. So if, let's say, for example, if you were an agent and were making money on recruiting, I guarantee you'll probably, with the numbers that I'm going to share with you guys, you probably would have made more money. Now, let's go into the how much money do they make, right? What is it in it for you? If you are an agent and looking to go into a company, what is in it for you? And of course, these numbers can be, and of course, like there's people that are aggressive salespeople, and then there's people that are not aggressive. So in any company, as far as with commissions, you can make 0, you can make 20,000 a month. It's up to at the end of the day, it's up to your ability. But if you are going into a business, and if you're not going to be aggressive, and if you're not going to be making money, why are you in that business? And if the person doesn't have the ability to sell or ability to be in that business, why do you even recruit? For example, in my business, I will not be recruiting anybody because I just want to have a person next to me, right? I want to make sure that this person is capable of doing something and selling and being productive, right? Because we're not focused on recruiting, we're focused on making money, changing their career, changing lives, and also building their business at the same time. Now, let's look into Prime America. What does their agents make? In 2025, this is out of the 151,000 people that they reported. This is, of course, includes U.S. and Canada. And it says unadjusted for current initial 99 fee, ongoing expenses, and so on and so forth. So this is before expenses. So they average agent made $8,199. That's their average. Now, WFG, we have numbers from 2023. And this, again, it says life license agents, U.S. and Canada. Agents bear all expenses. Average excludes individual costs. $6,500 is the average for WFG. This is how much the average agent makes in WFG. Now, PHP in 2022, like we said, when the company was being sold, they reported some of the numbers. Here's their numbers. It says 11,154. Now, you might think this is more than theirs, right? Oh my God, PHP is a lot better, doing a lot better than these two other companies. But look at the numbers that they comprised with. They said these numbers are paid agents only, excludes zero earners. So see details brackets below, and says one-time 99 sign-up annual platform fee are not included in there also as well. So basically what they did with the PHP, see, let's say as far as WFG and Prime America, they combined total agents that they have, regardless if they're making money or not, and they averaged it, which is the correct way, because if you have employees and if they're not doing anything, you still have to average those people. So basically what PHP did was said, you know what, we're going to exclude the people that are agents that are not producing. We're just going to calculate the ones that are getting paid. So those, let's say if we have 50,000 agents, and if, let's say 40,000 of them are not doing anything, they're just paying into the subscription, then we're not going to count those people. But why would you not count them? Because they should be ones who are selling. They're in your books as agents, right? So you should be able to combine those numbers and give the real numbers. So if we combine those numbers, and I don't know how much, what's that difference between paid? Is it 10% of the people? Is it 30% of the people, right? So we can calculate how much is the actual numbers. So in reality, if you do the real math, it says calculated weight average for paid agents only. So if that's the case, that's probably you're going to be at the $6,000 to $7,000 mark as the other ones. It's across the board. They're so similar. And even like WFG and PHP, they're very much a copy of each other, because Patrick went from WFG, like I mentioned it before, and went to to PHP, created his own stuff, and just blew it up, right? And it became fast-growing company. Now, these companies are, you see the numbers. This is the real numbers, and this is something that I get from the internet. And if you look at it, it's going to be across the board, similar to each other. And if you're in the company, for example, go look at your national sales or leadership board, right? Go look at it. Go take a look and see out of, let's say, for example, before when I used to run it, let's say if we sold something, I used to look at it. Let's say if we had year to date, let's say in January, let's say March, April, May, we used to have, let's say, $40,000, right? And then you look at the board, and there was only about maybe 500 people nationally that was on the board. Or let's say, for example, out of 25,000 or 10,000 at that time we used to have in 2001, 2002, or 2007 up until that time. The numbers, when I used to look at it, out of those numbers, it was only like maybe 300 people, 400 people, 500 people on the board of productions, right? And out of the other 10,000, 15,000 or so, they were not even close to being there, because it was zero, or they had $15, $20 or something like that. It was just crazy amounts. So the money wasn't there. Now, and in the next video, when I talk about AI, what AI came up, and you'll see what AI actually says. And it's just the funniest thing. You have to stay tuned. You have to want to watch that one, because what AI says is hilarious, and it just speaks as if it's a human, and it cannot be further from the truth, right? Amazing take on it, and I was just surprised how AI actually got us to that point. Now, this is the numbers from PHP, and of course, this is from 2002 income disclosure statement that they had, and this is from the paid, again, this is from the paid people, commission paid January to December 22. So this is the numbers that they have. Now, I can guarantee you almost to the T that this is similar to all the other ones. And if you guys have an internal number that you want to send me, I'll share it. And you guys will see it on the screens. Everything that I'm talking about, you guys will have it on the screen, so you guys can see that, hey, I'm actually getting it from the internet, and it's the AI that's generating this stuff for us. Now, let's look at how much they reported, and what is the levels of incomes, and what percentage of people hit those incomes. Now, again, this is PHP's disclosure from 2022. This is not something we're making up. This is something from actually on the internet where they provide it. Now, over $500,000. Now this, and then it says average annual income is $990,000. That's the average, and that's about 0.17% of the group that does. Probably 3 people on the top. That used to probably included Patrick, and also included some of his other friends that were in the business with him from the beginning. We used to know some of them in there because, in the market and friends and connections, especially them being Armenian, and of course, in the community. Now, for example, if you're looking at 250 and to 500,000 mark, you have the average, weighted average is 351,000. And this is about 0.46%. 0.4. Let me correct that. 0.46%. And then we have from 100,000 to 250,000 range, but they put the average on that one about 158,000. Only 1%, 1.39% make 100,000 to 150. And 50,000 to 100,000. And an average on this one, at least you should be great numbers on this, right? Not going over 100,000, but being from 50,000 to 100,000. This is an average income in Los Angeles, right? Or in the country, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. But in LA, it's pretty, you can get a job just doing nothing. You can make $50,000, right? And the weighted average is 68,344. You have about 2.2% making about 550,000 to 100,000, and weighted average of $68,000. Now, $25,000 to $50,000, right? So this is almost anybody can make this money if you're in a fast food. Or even if you drive for Uber part-time, you probably will make more money than this. The weighted average is $15,755 a year. Now, 8.22% make this income. Now, let's look at even lower, right? So you're assuming this is a person that just writes a business for himself and writes a business for his mom should make even this money. Let's say if you came to us, and you're an independent agency, and you wrote yourself a policy, and your mom a policy, and your dad a policy, you would have already been in their top 2 percentile, or 8 percentile. You'd have been in the almost again in the top 3 tiers, right? So, or top 10% of their business, basically, just doing 3 policies. Now 5,000 to 10,000, right? Then the weighted average is about $6,900. 8.86% of them do this. Hear this out. This is where the crazy part is. This is where everybody is in, okay? Between about 74%, okay, almost 75% of the people, they fall under 1,000 or actually 0 to 5,000 range, right? They broke it down to about 1,000 to 500. The weighted average is $2,300. So average, if you make $2,300 average, you're in the 30 percentile, 30.82% of the people in that company, you'll be with them, right? You're not going to be in the top 10 positions in that company. So being a top 10 or top 15% of being in the PHP business. So you're in the top 15%, and you can only make $5,000, right? And of course, being a making $5,000, if you do it worldwide comparison, you're in the top 10 percentile in the worldwide income. So with that, you made it. But in America, you didn't. Now, if you're in, let's say, for example, under $1,000, how many of those people make under $1,000? And if you know the numbers, it's 44.10% of them make $389 on average. Okay. Now, if you're dead, or if you're just walking or sleeping or doing nothing in our organization or becoming an independent agent, if you don't even do anything, you write yourself something little, very little, let's say $50 policy, you would have already been, you already would have beaten 40% of the people in MLM marketing. So if you made $30,000, you would have beat 75%, 80% of these people. Okay, so basically that's where their numbers come in, and about 83% of them earn under $10,000. Top 2% earn over $100,000. Top 2 earn over $100,000. Now, top 2%, if there's 1% or 2% chance, okay, this is the same odds you have playing professional sports. Let's say, for example, there's a 1% chance of you making it into the NBA, NFL, MLB, or any sports that are professional. This is the same chances you have in making $100,000 than actually making money. So you tell me if there's money to be made, or if there is money there. That's the craziest part for me, because we realized this a long time ago. Yes, we made money, but we could have made more money by not being in there, being independent. And again, I said that they recruit people that they have no idea what the market is. They have no idea what's out there. They have no clue as far as what the market is about, what the insurance industry is about, what are the commissions about, where they can get more, what supports they can have outside of it. Let's say, for example, individuals that join our company or like our companies, the similar to us. We give you actually the technicalities of selling. We give you the concepts of many ways to design policies, illustration support, and all these things to make sure that when you sit down with the client, you are truly designing a product that fits them, not fits your needs, but fits them, fits the company, fits the carriers, and also make a lot more money than they do. Because you know what? You're not taking away the client's money. Regardless of what you're doing, if you're in WFG, PHP, or Prime America, the company is paying everybody anyways. It's paying the same amount of commissions. Let's say they might be at 130%, 120%, 110%. They're still paying that out. The only difference is you're only getting 25%, 30%, or 50%, or 65%. That's the difference between them and us, where we pay you heavily on the front end and also continuously. And on top of that, we give you all the tools and all the education that you need to be successful. And Steve Jobs said, I'd rather train people the way I want to train and make them amazing and have them leave than have idiots in my business destroying my business. That's the concept we have. And that's all I have for you guys on this video. I'll see you guys next one. Please make sure you guys stay tuned, because the next video, it's going to be about AI, what AI thinks about and what AI gives examples of. You don't want to miss that one. I'll see you guys on that one. Make sure you guys are following, subscribe to the channel so you get the notification, and we'll see you on the next video. Thank you.